Hey everyone, I'm doing a quick video here to give you a little bit of information about this 1998 Honda VTR 1000, also known as the Superhawk 996. This is the bike that I'm selling. I purchased this bike in 2010. This was the first motorcycle that I owned, and it's the only one I've owned. I've put about 5,000 miles on it in that time. So I just wanted to kind of make a quick video showing you the little pieces of character that this bike has, just to be completely open and honest with everything about it. It's been a great bike. I love riding it. It's going to be really sad for me to let it go, but I've recently moved to the city and I don't have anywhere to store it. I don't want it getting stolen, so it's time to have her move on. So first of all, in the time that I owned this bike, I did drop it one time right after I got it. It was really embarrassing, actually. I was just parking it in my high school parking lot, and I was not used to riding a bike this heavy since I'd only ridden dirt bikes before. So it does have a little bit of minor damage. You can kind of see the front brake is a little bit bent out of shape. I put it in a vise and tried to bend it back, but it does have a little bit of a kink. Nothing that you notice while you're riding. This fairing right here, you can see there's a very small crack. If I can get that to focus. Can I get it to focus? That's about as good as it's going to do, maybe. There's a small crack that you never notice unless you're looking for it. A little bit of paint chipping right here. It's hard to tell with the glare, but very minor. Nothing that's really going to take away from the cosmetics of the bike. As you can see right there, there's a little bit more. If I can get it to focus, there it goes. So that's very minor. And then when I was in college, I had it parked outside of my dorm room, and at some point somebody knocked it over, which was really frustrating. And this fairing right here, as you can see, it's cracked. I have this held into place right now just with the bolts on the mirror and on the windshield here, and it'll stay like that. When you start it up, when you're idling, because of the vibrations from the bike, this will shake noticeably. But again, once you get up to highway speed, or once you're riding, it kind of the vibrations stop and you won't notice it. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? This is a new seat that I recently, by recently I mean the past, I guess maybe a year ago, I recently had put on. The old one, the stock one that came with the bike, was in bad shape. This is a custom cover. These colors were chosen by me from a marine upholsterer, I guess, who made the cover on the seat. The rear cowl that would normally go over the passenger part right here, I still have it, but one of the plastic the tabs that kind of keep it in place is broken, so it can't really be used. I do have it, and you're welcome to it if you think you can figure out some way to fix it or make it work. Yeah, I'm the third owner of this bike. The original owner was the one who put all these stickers all over it, other than my parking pass that I have in the back right here. It does have a D&D exhaust, which sounds really good. There is some corrosion on the exhaust, as you can see right there. It's a little dusty right now because it's been sitting since I've been in the city and haven't been riding it. Oh, a little blemish right here, also from that drop that I told you about. But again, it's purely cosmetic. And this bike it's a 1998 and it shows its age, but it's really a great bike for, if you want something that you can park in the city and not have to worry about too much. and I mean, I love it. I really don't have many complaints about it. Okay, so the regulator, the voltage regulator, which goes right here, it's behind this fairing. I won't take it off right now, but these bikes are notorious for not having enough surface area on the heat sinks, and then they fry the voltage regulators. This had already happened, and then it happened again after I bought the bike and rode it for several years. But I've replaced that with a high quality voltage regulator that should really not have any problems. When I bought that, it also came with a stator, and I didn't replace the stator that's in there right now. So I have a brand new stator that I can give you with this. Right now on the bike, we've got a Michelin Pilot on the rear. As you can see, it's upside down right now, but that's, we got hardly any, I mean, it's probably just broken in. As you can see, there's plenty of tread. That was pretty recently replaced, probably within the last, I want to say 500 miles. On the front, we've got a Continental Conti Motion Z. And I know, you know, you want matching front and rear tires. When I was replacing the front tire needed to be replaced, and the rear tire was still good. And this was a good, affordable option at the time. So I went with this one, and then when I needed to replace my rear tire, I got that as a Christmas gift, so it's a little bit nicer than this one. But this is still a great tire. There's plenty of tread left. If you can tell, I mean, it's hard to show on camera here, but plenty of life left in those. Recently had the rear brakes done. The front are gonna need to be replaced soon, and when I say replaced, I mean just the pads. And you know, if you're the type that likes to resurface the rotors or get new rotors, you can always do that as well. But yeah, all in all, she runs great. When you start it up, and I'll start it up in a minute here, you can sometimes hear what sounds like a valve sticking, and it'll kind of go on and off a little bit. But I haven't noticed it affect the performance at all. It's a clicking sound which can be a little bit annoying, but it doesn't bother me that much. So I'll start it up in a second here, and you'll be able to possibly hear that. Chain and sprocket are the original ones that I got with the bike. So I mean, I think the chain has some life left in it. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see, but it's adjusted right now to the point where it has enough. I think it's supposed to have about an inch of travel in the chain up and down, which is where it should be, and it's still, according to that marker, it's in new condition. So I think the chain is good. The sprocket looks decent, but it could probably stand to be replaced sometime in the near future. The odometer. The odometer is an aftermarket one, I think, that was put on at some point. It reads 11,000 miles. That is not accurate. When I bought the bike, it read 5,000 miles, and the previous owner told me that in reality it had about 25,000 miles on it. So right now it's got about 30,000. Also, speedometer. The speedometer, I think that somebody changed the gearing ratio on this at some point, and did not change the speedometer to reflect that. So the speedometer is slightly inaccurate. It's very slight. I mean, it's only significant when you're really up at high speeds. So I'm talking about, you know, I've gauged this using a GPS, and your speedometer will actually say that you're going a little bit faster than you actually are. So it might say you're going 65 when really you're going 63. And then, you know, the faster you go, the bigger the difference gets. So once you get up to 100, you know, you might only be doing 95. If your speedometer says you're doing 120, you're probably doing about 112, something like that. Not that you should ever do that on public roads anyway. The hand grips don't match. As you can see, this one's pretty worn. Could stand to be replaced. This Velcro I put on here because I made a little mount for my GPS, but that can easily be removed. So I mean, this is not a showroom bike. It does have, you know, some quirks. It shows its age a little bit. Rides great, and I've really enjoyed it. All right, so that's probably enough of me babbling. Oh, one more thing before I do start it up, before I forget. The seat, when you take the seat off, there's kind of a tricky way to do it, and it's easy once you know how to do it, but I would have to show you how to do it. You have to apply pressure to the right spot. If you don't know how, you know, when I first bought this bike, the previous owner never told me about that, and it took me a solid 45 minutes to figure out how to get the seat off. But anyway, and then also the rear brake light right here is a little bit loose, so this doesn't really move around once you're riding, but as you can see, I can wiggle it a little bit with my hand. Not something that ever bothered me, but again, I'm giving you guys all full disclosure, everything about the bike, so when you come to check it out, you don't have to do any tire kicking. I'm already accounting for all of this in the price that I'm asking for, which is $2,000. So I think it's a fair price for this bike. Anything else? Let me think. There was a coolant leak that I recently repaired. No big deal there. So it's kind of sorted out. Like any of the little problems that have popped up, I've repaired or addressed them. So yeah, I'll start it up and we'll see if we can hear that clicking sound. Now this is already warm, so it is going to start right up, but it really doesn't have any trouble starting up usually. This morning when I started up for the first time in a while, since I haven't been riding it, it took a while to turn over, but that's just because it's got old gas in it and hasn't been running. So I mean, this usually will turn right over, so I'll start up for you now. So there you go. That was with no choke. Like I said, it is already warm, but right now it doesn't sound like that valve is sticking. So I'll give it a little gas so you can hear the exhaust a little bit, and maybe we'll see if that valve will stick. And actually here, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, you can see the vibrations right here on that fairing. It looks a little bit slower on camera than it does in real life, just because of the frame rate of this camera, but you can at least see it a little bit. Alright, so I'll give her a rev now. Leaks or anything. That valve clicking is not happening right now. But yeah. Oh, and don't worry about that oil window. The only reason it's So you might have heard when I went to rev it there, it was getting bogged down a little bit. And again, that's just because it's been sitting in the garage, not running. You get some new gas in there, and you ride this a little bit, let it clean itself out, give it the good old Italian tune-up, as they say, and it'll be good to go. So anyway, I think that pretty much covers most everything that I wanted to bring up about the bike, and you can feel free to contact me with any other questions. All right.